Hi, I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. And today we're gonna do some driving impressions on the 2023 ES 350. I've been able to drive this car for about a week now, so I have a lot of little impressions to go over and go over those in a little bit of finer detail. But first, make sure you hit like and subscribe to our Performance Lexus channel. Getting right into the video, one of the first things I want to talk about is actually under the hood. The ES 350 is still one of the last vehicles in the lineup to have our 3.5 liter V6, and it's one of my favorite 3.5 liter V6s for a number of reasons. This one is a 300 horsepower mated to an 8-speed transmission, meaning it has lots of pep, but more impressively, it's a very, very smooth V6. Usually with a V6, it's either powerful or smooth, and with this one, it does check both of those boxes, and it takes regular gas. So even though you have that 300 horsepower, it's still not gonna cost you a ton to run it. Underneath the hood, you can actually see a lot going on here. With a lot of the Lexus models, it's fully covered by plastic. But this one, it's just the middle section that's covered over. You can still see all the condenser pipes and the intake. The battery's easily accessible, and pretty much it just looks like a regular Lexus underneath. Take a look at the styling. This particular package is the premium package. So it's technically the base that you can get in the V6 model. This is the front wheel drive, by the way. That's what the V6 means. So we have some daytime running lights here, LED headlights, along with some styling and chrome to the bottom of it. So down here, this vent isn't actually active, but I find the chrome ties in really nicely with the grille. And this is the base model grille, so it kind of has the new take on the spindle. If you wanted to get something a little bit more aggressive, you could go up to the F Sport model, the F Sport 1 and the F Sport 2, or the F Sport Design. And that would give you a little bit more aggressive and some added headlights and stuff like that. Looking at the side profile, by the way, this is the caviar black paint, so there's a little bit of metallic there. The wheels themselves are a little bit smaller on the premium package, which means we have a little bit more of that, I guess you could say, sidewall. So I find on the premium package, it is a little bit smoother than the one with the bigger wheels, and that's because we have so much sidewall there. We have some beautiful chrome lining the side of the windows and tying into the mirror as well. And there is a really nice indicator on the mirror that kind of goes the full length of it. Body lines, not super aggressive, but still modern enough. We have this one body line that sort of goes all the way from the front to the back and wraps around this side. You can see when it comes to the ES that the doors are huge. So even the back doors here are a really good size, and that's because the back seat space is gigantic for being a mid-size sedan. The handles are the same that we've had in the Lexus lineup for a while now. They work, they're solid. I have nothing to complain about. And sort of as we get to the rear of the car here, we still have some chrome on that back taillight that wraps around as well to tie in that black and chrome look, which is super classy and timeless. One of my favorite things is these taillights. So we have the layered sort of L design. It reminds me of sort of just a more budget-friendly version of the LC taillights, where you have those different layers and like the hologram that the LC has. And this is just like a more stamped-in version of that. We have that chrome at the top here. Like I said, that with the black and chrome, it looks really, really nice. We have the older style Lexus emblem, obviously the ES 350 down here, some sort of exhaust decorations integrated into the bumper. Again, it's one of the last cars in the lineup to actually show any exhaust, and that's trimmed off by just a little bit of textured black plastic. Okay, so now for the 2023 ES 350's interior, there are a few little things that it took me a few days of driving to really appreciate and notice, but I do want to mention them. The first one is this center has been totally rejigged. You might remember from previous ESs is that there used to be the remote touch little mouse pad here, and the cup holders were kind of shifted forward, etc. This one, since that is gone because it's all touchscreen now, we have the cup holders in a different space and room for a wireless charging pad that can even fit a big phone like my S22 Ultra and it doesn't move around much. And I think even if you got a bigger phone, it would still fit. One of the other things I never realized is that there is no sunglass holder at the top, but now there's this little shelf kind of in front of the cup holders that I can put my sunglasses in. At first I didn't know what that was for because it's so small, but this morning when I was driving, I was like, I need to put my sunglasses somewhere, and that is the perfect spot. We have the heated seats and cooled seat controls just above that, super easy to access, it's not in the way, and the whole interior is kind of trimmed off by this really modern matte black finish. So whether it's a matte black brushed aluminum or some matte black wood grain. We also have wood grain on the steering wheel that's matte black. And again, this is the base model. So it has all these little nuances even in the premium package, even the bigger screen, which is really, really nice. Even if you're looking at an ES350, don't be afraid of the premium package. It really gives you a lot of features that you'd have to do like a mid-package RX for, or any of the other cars like in the middle. So it is really nice that you can get that on such a good budget. Okay, so now some driving impressions of the ES350, which is where this car really impresses people, especially for the price point. So we'll just kind of go for a little drive here through beautiful Port Dalhousie in St. Catharines, Ontario. One of the first things you notice when you drive the ES is the shifter. It's very ergonomic. You sort of just use your thumb to squeeze. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. It's not like a little electronic gadget like some of the newer Lexuses. So the thing I think is important when it comes to that is the ES350 has always been known for the car that, it's kind of a joke on the internet, but it's like the car that your grandpa buys brand new, passes it down to the son, passes it down to the grandson, and it's like generations old because of they last so long and hold up so well. So because of that, I like that the interior and even the exterior isn't ultra modernized yet. And what I mean by that is if someone's gonna be driving this or passing this car down for 10 years, 15 years from now, whatever it is, it's cool that the shifter is kind of a little bit more classic instead of super, super modern. So I do like that. My dad right now drives a 2004 ES330, I think is what it was called in 2004. It's held up well, the engine still runs. We're kind of just waiting for it to die, but it might, I don't know, maybe we'll just have to replace it before it dies because we've been waiting for a little while. You'll notice even on bumpy roads, it's super, super smooth. You don't really hear the engine too much. It's just a quiet cabin. In fact, there was this little rumor when this car got redesigned in 2019 or 2018 that the engineers, especially on the hybrid model, had to actually introduce a little bit of road noise or a little bit of driving noise because the cabin was too smooth and too quiet that it actually made people uncomfortable. And you know, even though that kind of sounds like a sales gimmick, I could see it because it's super quiet in here and super smooth, and this is the V6. So on the hybrid with the less vibrations and stuff like that, it's even smoother. It's even more foreign, like it kind of feels weird. A couple other things to mention. So now that it doesn't have the touchpad, I was a little worried because I liked using the touchpad because I don't like having to like hover my finger and use a touch screen. I feel like I miss a lot of the screen, but with this one, I kind of just plant two of my fingers here on the dash, and then I can press, and it's kind of like a stabilizer instead of like having to hover and miss the buttons. I'm not sure if Lexus did that ledge on purpose, but it works really well for that. I've known a lot of cars that just have a floating screen. There's nowhere to anchor your fingers to be accurate with your pressing of buttons. And this one does a really good job. It's super easy. So yeah, that could be something to think about, that even though it's full touchscreen and the remote touch is gone, it's not hard to do. And it's definitely not a distraction or anything like that. We do have the drive modes sort of up here, and once I'll get into the country a little bit, I'll show you probably the biggest flaw in this car, which may surprise you. Okay, so now for the biggest flaw in the ES350 I'm just gonna come to a stop here and we're just gonna punch it. It's the fact that it has too much power for those front wheels. So even sometimes if you're rolling and you punch it, it lights up the tires really quickly. There is an all-wheel drive option in this car, but they use the 4-cylinder engine. So I do wish Lexus could have utilized this engine in an all-wheel drive setup, or had maybe some sort of limited slip differential or something to just put that power down a little bit more. But it's silly because all that's meaning is that it has a really powerful engine, which isn't a bad thing. Like I said, I just wish it wasn't such wasted power. But because of that, the engine is never really working too hard. It's very, very smooth, and that's, in my opinion, that's quite all right. Okay, but the biggest strength of the ES has always been the highway and sort of like a road trip car. It's as smooth, in my opinion, as the much more expensive LS or LC, and because of that, it makes a really great road trip car. It does have the space in the back seat, it has the space in the trunk for a good road trip car as well, and I'll sort of just demonstrate how smooth it is on the highway here. You can hear a little bit of engine noise too, which is nice. There is a little bit of engine noise, a little bit of intake noise. It's not much. I bet you if you put an exhaust on this car, it probably sounds sweet. So to activate the cruise control, it's all on the steering wheel now with your right thumb. And it has the lane centering assist and almost the latest Lexus safety system. I think this one might be like 2.5 or something. It'll keep us a really safe distance from in front of us. And there you go, super, super smooth. Really good commuter as well. I will say the fully loaded Ultra Luxury is a little quieter because of it has like a sound, I can't remember the word, sound deadening, sound prevention wheel design, where there's some extra chambers so that when you hit bumps, there's no fluctuation of the pressure inside the tire, so you don't get that doo-doom like when you hit a bump. But this one is still pretty good because it has the bigger sidewall, so even if you hear it, you don't necessarily feel it, which is great. That lane centering assist works really well. It keeps you dead center. Also, I do have a digital readout of my speed, which I think is important in this day and age, so that works out really well. The average fuel economy on this car is usually pretty good. We had this one idling, so it's at 9.1, but I was definitely a lot lower earlier before we had it like sitting idling doing all the videos. Oh, this is like a fresh paved road, so it's super, super smooth right now, which is nice. Definitely a good car if you have to commute at all because of that regular gas, because of how smooth it is. Even lately, I had some errands to do the last couple days, and instead of taking, it was a nice sunny day, instead of taking my Supra out, I decided to take the ES just because I knew I wouldn't be tired when I got there. It just makes that driving such less of a chore, if that makes sense. And it's really good to have people in here as well because of the size of it. So there you go. That's some really good driving impressions. I hope you guys liked it. I'm still only about a week into driving this car, so I'm sure there's gonna be a little bit more sort of nuances going forward too. Okay, so there you have it, some driving impressions of the ES350, a couple little nuances and details that I've noticed after driving this car for a couple days, and most importantly, kind of who this car is still for. And I highly recommend, if you like the V6 idea and power plant, to grab one of these cars before they stop making it, because I do notice the trend that the V6s are starting to go away and turn into turbo 4-cylinders. So definitely pick up one of these if you're interested. Of course, thank you for watching. Make sure you leave a comment below if you like this video, or if there's any other videos you'd like to see in the future. I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines, and I'll see you in the next video.